here at the Connection Program of Lifebridge Health, Office of Community Health and Wellness. And we want to thank one of our partner churches, Good Shepherd Church of God in Christ, for opening their doors for us to come, and of course the New Antioch Baptist Church of Randallstown. And so we're grateful that we can run this pilot program known as the Connection Program that deals with chronic diseases, specifically diabetes. If you will, why don't we open with a word of prayer. Our Father and our God, we thank you for being mighty and great. We thank you for being our healer and our great deliverer. We thank you, God, because you woke us up this morning and allow us to make it throughout the day, and for that we're grateful. We thank you for this learning opportunity, dear God. Please allow us to learn and to put it into practice so that we can have our good health to become better health. Bless us now. Bless those who are here and those who are on the way. For it's in Jesus' name we pray, and God's people say amen. 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 Again, we thank you all for coming here on tonight, which will be our last night of seven weeks. And we had an opportunity to talk about diabetes, talk about exercise, how to communicate well with doctors, managing your medications well, nutrition, and then tonight we have a healthy food cooking demonstration. This will be our last evening in this pilot series, and before we come to a close, we will come back and we will have some parting gifts, if you will, to share with us on tonight. Help me welcome and celebrate Miss Dana Milling, and who is our community nutrition educator at Carrol Hospital, a Lifebridge Health Center in the Trevis Wellness Center. You didn't think I knew that, huh? And we also thank Ms. Nicole Dixon for being here, who also works with our food program. Oh, and she will also be talking about some healthy food options that will be available to be delivered for free. So I want to give Ms. Dana the microphone.
Will this work on the side? Maybe on the front? Back pocket.
There you go.
Thank you.
And she will lead us in our presentation. Oh, and as we are paying attention, there are refreshments that, now I told everybody use the mic and I won't. As we are waiting, there are refreshments, healthy salads, hearty salad, chicken Caesar salad, as well as fruits and cut up fruit and water that everyone is welcome to have. Thank you.
Did you want to do your thing first or afterwards? I can hold the mic for you.
So hello everyone, my name is Nicole Dixon, and as a part of Lifebridge, we offer our patients diabetes education, where you can go into one of our locations, Carrol, Northwest, Sinai Hospital, or Grace, to receive diabetes education if you are diabetic, or if you may be pre-diabetic, or if you may not know, we can help you to figure that out. And what happens is once we get you with that diabetes education class, you are offered Hungry Harvest, which is a vegetable box that we send out to our patients free of charge for 3 months. If anybody is food insecure, or if you're having trouble getting healthy food, having trouble affording healthy food, you can fill out my paper that I'll bring around to you and let me know, and we'll go ahead and get you signed up for some diabetes education and get you some free foods. That goes on for 3 months. Once we're finished with that, then Giant, we give you an e-card that's sent to your cell phone, and you can go into the store and buy healthy fruits and vegetables, fresh, frozen, and canned, and that is for 3 months as well. So essentially, we give you about 6 months worth of food if you are food insecure and you need that delivery to your home and you want to eat better, if you want to lose weight, and just, be overall healthier, just, let me know, and we'll get you signed up for that, okay?
Yes, thank you. Hello. Is this up high enough? Can we hear okay? Okay, good. All right, well, my name is Dana Mealing. I am the Community Nutrition Educator at Carrol Hospital and for Lifebridge Health Grader. And I am a registered dietitian, so I go out and about in the community and do all sorts of nutrition education for folks like yourselves. We do have certified diabetes educators at our hospitals as well, so if you're looking for more specific information, we can get you set up with the program that Nicole just told you about that is incorporated into it. and they are really good about helping you out with medications and things like that. But otherwise, I am pretty well versed in things, so feel free to chime in, ask any questions. Today, our recipe is going to be fajita bowls. So as the base of the bowl, we do have rice coming up, but you can always do it with something else like salad greens. You can do a cauliflower rice, something a little more lower carb if that's what you need to do to help manage your blood sugar. Otherwise, though, some carbohydrate is fine in our diet. We just need to be mindful about how much we're having. So this whole recipe is going to incorporate a lot of whole foods. These are all foods that are pretty just run-of-the-mill foods that are pretty easily accessible. We have chicken, peppers, onions. Those are the main base vegetables in this dish. So nothing too fancy. Does everyone like Mexican food, fajitas? Yay, awesome, who doesn't? All right, so we are going to start with all of our prep work. So we're gonna cut everything first, and then once we get everything all cut up, then it's gonna be like a cooking show, and you just do all the fun stuff after that. So we'll talk a little bit about knife skills. How does everyone feel about their knife skills in the kitchen? We have some yeses, some skilled people, some not so much. All right, so I'm gonna put on my gloves first to start. And we'll go through some basic knife skills. I'm going to move these peppers so people can see a little better. All right, so actually I'm going to start with the peppers. Change my mind. The cilantro's messy. All right, so we have our bell peppers here. So to start, I have a large chef knife. This is about 8 inches. You can use a paring knife if that is something you are more comfortable with. So a paring knife works for all of these things as well. You just need to take your time a little bit more, maybe with that because it's a smaller blade. But if you're new to using knives, that's a good option. They do make like no-cut knives that don't cut you. They're usually for like children, but if you're new and a little nervous, then that's a good option to practice on as far as cutting vegetables and everything. They're not the best at cutting meats. But otherwise, we have our classic chef knife here. So if you notice, it's not totally straight across. We do have a little bit of a curve. It curves up, right? So that's to help us when we are cutting. So we want to keep the blade down on the cutting board at all times. There's always going to be a point of contact. We're not really doing a chopping action like this, but we're gonna do instead what I call a rocking horse type action, where you keep a point at least on at all times, and you are using that roundness to cut your food. So we'll be moving the food itself, and the knife pretty much stays the same. There might be like one pivot point, like if we had a top-down view of this point might turn like this, but it's always still on the cutting board. So just to start, for cutting a bell pepper, I like to cut off the tops and bottoms first and start with that. When you're holding the knife, generally we don't want to do like the finger point here, because if your finger point slips, you run the risk of falling into the blade's way, which we don't want. So instead, we're going to do a little curl action, and you're going to hold on to the blade itself, but up towards the top, and keep your finger curled so that the tip of your finger can never slip underneath the blade. So this is how we're holding the knife in one hand, and then in the other hand with the vegetable, or whatever else you're cutting, we're going to do a dinosaur claw, is what I call it. So same idea, we're curling our knuckles inwards. So for this example, can everyone see from here? I can come around and show people too. So when you have your knuckles curled, your cutting board's gonna be down here. And then you have about a ½ inch of distance, at least for my hands. And then above that, you have your knuckle. So your fingertips, you're kind of like putting your nails down on the board. Your fingertips are never going to hit the blade because your knuckles will hit it first. And because they're up from the board, the cutting board, they're never going to be underneath the blade. So this is a way to keep your fingers safe while you're cutting. So using that dinosaur claw as you're cutting your vegetable. So we're cutting off one end. that might need to be microwaved more afterwards. And then we're cutting the other end. So I make my point of contact first. The bell pepper's pretty tall, so I do have to take it up. Sometimes you have to. But I'm making that point of contact on the cutting board first before I'm chopping down. So from here, we have that inside. Sometimes when you cut just these two parts, you can just rip that middle out pretty easily. This one, we're still a little stuck together. So I'm actually going to cut just partially into it. So I'm just cutting a little bit. And then I'm going to basically unroll this bell pepper and cut out that middle part. It's called the pith, kind of like how oranges have that foamy, nasty part you don't really want to eat. All right, and I have a trash bowl of some sort. Keep my space clean. I'll leave it to your best judgment. All right, so we have this nice long sheet now of bell pepper, and we are going to just cut it in half, and I'm going to stack the two together, use my dinosaur claw, and cut this into ribbons or slices. So we have these little thin slices like that. So notice how the blade isn't leaving the cutting board. It's staying on there, and for the most part, I'm moving the food through the blade versus moving the blade over the food. All right, so we have these nice little strips. These other parts, pop out the stem. These are still delightful. Personally, I just eat them while I'm cooking, but you can cut them up still. So we'll just do little strips for that as well. And that's pretty much it. Any questions on like knife work and cutting and how that goes? Any vegetables that are difficult to cut that you can think of? I've got a couple that are hard. Cabbage. Yeah, cabbage can be a difficult one. Generally, we want to try to find like a flat side to our veggies. So I'm just going to keep cutting all the peppers. We have an hour. So for cabbage, I would try to find the flat side, and generally that is going to be the side that still has the stem on it. That end usually already has a flat cut on it. So you can lay that out on the ground, not on the ground, on the cutting board. Don't put it on the ground. And then use that as like your initial flat surface. Just cut it in half, and then from there you have a better flat surface to cut on. I'll usually like quarter my cabbage first, cut out the stem, and then from there you can shred it or quarter it or however you want to cut it up. What about like a butternut squash is often one people say are really hard. Does anyone try to cut a butternut squash before?
Yes.
Does anyone have a special technique before I tell my secrets? No? Just struggle? Oh, you've never cut one?
I normally there you go. Typically just cut it in half.
You
lay down one side and just cut it in the in the grooves.
Do you take the skin off it when you do it?
I do. It depends.
Yeah. So if you're just like roasting it whole, yeah, cutting it in half, that works totally fine. Because once it's cooked, you can just scoop it right out from the skin. If you want to like dice your butternut squash and cut the skin off first, then there's a couple different things that you can do. So one, some people like to pre-cook them a little bit to soften the part that you're going to eat, the flesh of the fruit, from the skin, just on the outside. So they'll put it in like a boiling pot of water or in the oven just for a couple minutes so that it's soft, and then the skin peels off much easily This is a good one for acorn squash too, because it has those ridges, and it doesn't peel very well with a vegetable peeler because of that. So the pre-cook method works pretty well for acorn squash, but also with butternut squash you could do that, or I like to cut the ends off, and then once you have those cut ends, it's very easy to start a vegetable peeler from that cut end and then go all the way down. So once you have like that flat edge that peeler blade can hook onto, it's very easy to peel it from there. All right. As far as vegetables go, does everyone like vegetables, or are vegetables a challenge for anybody? Anybody not a fan? Everyone likes veggies. You like fruits? No pretzel sprouts. That's how my dad is. Yeah, well, so vegetables are going to be a really important part of our diet once we have, once we're thinking about our blood sugar and we're working with pre-diabetes and diabetes. What's the thing in vegetables that helps with our blood sugar? Any guesses? Anyone? Okay. All right, so in veggies, we have a lot of fiber. That's going to be a big part of blood sugar management. So when we have good sources of fiber in our diet, that actually helps slow the absorption of blood sugar, or of sugar into your blood. And that's basically what is causing causing diabetes is high blood sugar. So we want to keep our blood sugar within a set range. So having fiber in our diet is going to help keep your blood sugar in that range. Most Americans are not getting enough fiber. Any guesses on how much fiber we should be getting a day? More or less than 15? What do we think? Here's some mores. All right, more or less than 20? 25.
That's starting at, that's kind of like the bottom range.
Yeah. Yeah, so usually like 30 is like around, I mean, everyone's a different size, so maybe if you're more petite, 25 would be enough for you, but usually around 30 is like our generic recommendation of how much fiber to get. In some countries, it's like 40 grams of fiber a day, just to kind of have that reference of other places' daily values. So you can fit a lot of fiber in your diet, and it's all good for you. Fiber is also really beneficial for cholesterol. So if we have high cholesterol, that is something we want to be mindful of, even if we are maybe trying to focus on prediabetes or diabetes. Diabetes and heart disease are good pals. They like to show up together. So you have an increased risk of developing one if you have the other. So when we are thinking about food and our dietary choices for diabetes, we want to think about both heart disease and diabetes. So we're thinking about our fats and our fibers as well as our carbohydrates in our food. So fiber is actually something that's going to latch on to that bad cholesterol, your LDL, and pull it out your body with your stool. I don't want to talk too much about stool since we're about to eat, but it is going to be beneficial for pulling out that bad cholesterol, that LDL. If we don't get that LDL out of there some way, your body just recycles it, and then you're also eating more, so that level just continues to elevate if you're not pulling it out with fiber. So we need to have fiber to help manage that cholesterol level, and that high LDL puts us at increased risk of building plaque in our arteries, which increases our risk of having hardened arteries or heart attack, even stroke as well. So we want to be mindful of those cholesterol levels. So fiber is going to be good for both blood sugar and cholesterol. So the more veggies that you can fit in your plate, the better. Has anyone heard of the plate method? Yeah. How big is the veggie section if we're trying to manage blood sugar?
That's the largest section on my plate.
What's that?
That's the largest section.
Yeah.
I in 3 different sections.
Yeah, the biggest section on the plate is vegetables. So usually it's like half the plate are those non-starchy vegetables. So basically anything that's not potatoes, peas, or corn. So in this case, we have these lovely bell peppers. You can add whatever veggies you like to this. Bell peppers are just like the classic fajita vegetable. But you could certainly do zucchini and tomato or like mushrooms or whatever else you might like or whatever you have in the house, asparagus, broccoli. You can do whatever veggies you want for this. All right, we are almost done. Last pepper. It's a lot of cutting. I also didn't grow up with like a food processor, and I used one recently for a cooking demo, and everything went by so fast, and I was amazed by it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get one.
We need to get one of those little things that you have, the little grater.
Oh, yeah. Like a mandolin or a box grater. Yeah, if you have a slicing tool, it's very handy. It makes things go by a lot faster than hand cutting everything. But alas, we have done it. We hand cut all those bell peppers. All right. So next we have our onion. Onions can be a little annoying to cut because they have all those layers. Is it too watery?
I just want to make sure I'm getting salt.
Okay. So first, to take off the paper instead of just like peeling it from this state, that can be a little challenging. So I just off the bat will cut off that top half. This is like where the stem would grow out of. I still have the root part on here. So I'll cut that off, and then I'll flip it onto that flat surface, and then cut it in half from there. And now you have this open peeled edge that's very easy to take all the skin off. I feel like I need some background music. Yeah. just to fill the quiet. All right. So for this, we're just going to cut slices so that the cuts of the onion match the peppers. This is also a double recipe, by the way. But I like to keep this little root end intact because it holds all these layers together. So even if I'm dicing or quartering or however I'm doing it, I usually try to keep this end intact just so the onion slices aren't flying all over the place like that onion skin did. So it just makes it a little bit easier to cut. So again, I'm doing my raptor claw, my dino claw. And for this, I'm just cutting in slices. If I wanted to do, get these out the way. Whoop-a-doop. If I wanted to dice it, you can cut it this way first. So I'll just do like a little bit of the onion just so you can see. Ooh, cutting it this way is gonna make me cry. So you cut it against the grain, basically. So I did these horizontal cuts. And then I'm going to do vertical cuts this way.
And I heard if you run it under cold water, it doesn't make you cry. Has anybody tried that
I have done that, and it does seem to help.
for the onion zone?
I think it helps. I've done that a couple times. My sister has a pair of swimming goggles she just keeps in her kitchen. So now when you cut it across, like how you would for slices, we have nice little dice instead. So there'll be some tiny onion pieces in there. But otherwise, we'll just keep with the slices. Oop, diced a little bit more than I meant to. All right. think a lot of people forget about onions as a vegetable too. Like people will say like I didn't eat any vegetables or something, but you had onion in your food or whatever. There is fiber in onions as well. So onions definitely count as a vegetable. These bendy cutting boards are really nice because they can dump stuff very easily. All right. Okay. Got these little dices all over the place. Salsa also counts as a vegetable, which is always fun to tell people too. Like, it's just tomato and onions and peppers, right? So it's basically what we're having here in a different shape with more tomato. Definitely counts as some veggie though. All right, now we have the messy one, which is the cilantro. Does everyone like cilantro? All right.
Yes.
Some people taste soap when they eat cilantro, so I just wanted to double check. We could set some rice aside before we contaminate it all. But we're gonna make a cilantro lime rice, kind of like how they have at Chipotle. So this has already been washed. I'm just gonna double check it real quick for any slimy bits, but it looked like a pretty fresh batch. Reject that leaf. And these ones, okay. Looks good. Alrighty, so this is a big fluffy mess, right? It's a little difficult to deal with. I would say like looking at this, move it up here so you can all kind of see. I would say like this chunk here, this back half, this is where it gets more stemmy. Now cilantro is like soft enough that you could eat the stems. It's not gonna hurt you if you wanted to like really use everything, but it's not quite as flavorful and it's gonna change the texture a little bit of your eating experience when it's in your food. So I'm just gonna do the leafy portion. So I'm going to try to squish these all together and kind of roll them up like it's sushi as tight as I can. And then this top end where it's still fluffy, I bend that backwards into my hand. So I have everything all tight and bundled up in a little ball. I still have my dinosaur claw shape here, and I'm going to cut through the cilantro. Move my fingers back. So we have all of our cilantro. So from here, we'll do another cutting method for chopping. If you're ever like fine dicing something, make sure you can see. I'm gonna keep that one point of the knife still on the cutting board, but I'm gonna use the flat of my hand and put that on top and chop this way. And then you can kind of change around where you are. This cutting board moves a little bit. You can put, if you have a cutting board that slides a lot at home, if you put a damp towel underneath it between your countertop and the cutting board, that helps hold it still, which I do not have right now. That's pretty much it. So we have our finely chopped up cilantro. All right. So I will also put that in a bowl. And when the rice is done, we'll do the rice. Where's my garbage bowl? Okay. Yes, that is the next step, is chicken. I'm just gonna pre-cut my lime because once everything's all coated in raw chicken, we're just gonna, oh, it's okay. So here we have our limes. To help get limes a little extra juicy, you can roll it with the palm of your hand. These limes are pretty hard. So you can roll it, and that helps just kind of break apart all those little juice packets inside your lime, inside your citrus. Looking for ripe limes. Limes are actually yellow when they're ripe. We just tend to eat them green here because then they look like lemons if they're yellow. but they actually turn yellow when they are more ripe. So looking for a little bit of like a yellow blush is a good sign. And these limes, maybe this one's a better example of it. I didn't pay too much attention, I just kind of grabbed 2 limes. But if you look on the skin and look for like a smoother outside, that's usually an indication that it's like fully juiced up, like fully inflated. And that you have less of that white stuff in between. So I'm gonna make a bet that this one's a lot bumpier than this one, that this one's gonna have a smaller white part to it than this one. I could be wrong though, so we'll see. That's the theory, that's what they say as far as picking out limes. All right, so I'm just gonna cut these in half crosswise. So if you cut your lime across with like the 2 polar ends on each side, then that way you get all the little segments. If you want to cut your lime into slices, you're going to cut it from like belly button to belly button that way. Alrighty, so we have 1 lime. Let's see if this one has less white. That one doesn't have a ton of white. It's true, it's science. I don't know if you all can see from there. I'll walk around real quick. We'll make this interactive. You can see this one has less of the pith in it, and it's got the smoother outside. Ooh, this thing picks up the breeze. I have to like walk slow. All right, see, this is the smoother one. It's a little bit thinner, more juice. It's always sad when you cut open a lime and it's all hard and filled with white stuff, so. All right. Yeah, sure. I have some spoons over there. It looks good. Yeah, I think if, no, I think it has enough water because it will get mushier. It will get too mushy. Yeah, so I think kind of like, maybe we'll let it steam out a little bit and then give it another fluffing once it's kind of dried out a bit, and then we'll add the lime and stuff to it. But it looks like it's cooked. Sure. Excuse me, everyone. I think it's cooked. It's hot. Okay. The rice, by the way, it's just minute rice. We made the whole box all at once, which is.
And we didn't have a stove, guys. We thought we had a stove,
So you can still microwave it, but it's just very dense. It's a lot of rice on top of itself, so we're trying to let it air out and steam a little bit. But those instant rices, they're just as good as the other kind of rice, like the kind that takes like 45 minutes to make. It's brown rice as well, so you get a bit more fiber in it too. So you can do that. The instant rice works just as well. It still has that little bit higher fiber content, a little more nutty, a little more chew to it, which I think is tastier. That's the rice we'll be using. So we're just gonna let it steam up a little bit before we add the lime and everything to it. All right, so I am going to move aside our produce items. Put this up here. And we have our chicken. So, got a couple peppers in here too still. Okay. So I'm gonna do about a tablespoon of olive oil. Actually, we're gonna do 2 because it's a double recipe.
Does it matter which olive oil you use, regular, extra virgin?
It doesn't. The difference between them, this one's a light, I believe. This is an extra light olive oil. It's about how refined it is. So when you have like a more like the extra virgin, it's gonna be like the least refined olive oil. So it still has a lot of like the essence of olive in it. Usually it's more flavorful. It has a bit of more of like that taste to it. And it has a lower smoke point, meaning it burns at a lower temperature than other oils might. So if you get a lighter olive oil, you can go a little higher with the temperature without it starting to smoke and burn. You can also still use like a canola oil or vegetable oil. Those are usually higher smoke point oils as well. And those are good for something like fajitas, because we want to get a little bit of that charry kind of darkness on the vegetables and everything. If you have a cast iron skillet, that's really great for that too. I do not. So I'm gonna let this heat up. I'll put in my oil. You could measure if you want. I feel like oil gets everywhere, so I generally do like 1 Mississippi, and that's a tablespoon. 2 Mississippi, 2 tablespoons. And we'll call that good. I eyeball things. It's real cooking. I don't know how many people are measuring out their oil before they put it in the pan. You don't want it sopping. I mean, you can kind of see the pan. It's still mostly dry. I'm going to have to wiggle it around as it gets warm. I have an induction burner. It yells at me when I take the pan off. All right, so we have our chicken here. It is prepped, and now things will be contaminated. So we want to keep our area clean when we're working with raw meat, of course, especially chicken. Chicken tends to have salmonella on it. Not like always, but you run that risk. So we definitely want to keep our work area clean. So here we have our chicken. We'll take our first little piece. So we can trim off like whatever little fat we have. Some people like to pull out, if you ever notice, there's like that tough bit inside the breast. I don't have a fork with me, but if you ever like get your finger grip on that little tough piece and you put a fork in front of the meat, you can like pull that whole thing out and the meat stays behind the fork. So you can remove that tough bit that way. I am not going to do that. I think it'll be okay today. So you can cook your chicken whole first. We're gonna season first, but you can either cook it whole first or cut it up. I'm going to cut it first and cook it that way. But if you like to have, like, maybe if you're grilling it and you want to see those little grill marks or something, that is an option. I'm just going to cut it up because when things are cut into smaller pieces, they tend to cook a little faster. So for the sake of time, slices, cubes. Let's go cubes. I will do that. So I'm going to cut it in one direction first. So I have it cut in slices first, and then I'm going to cut across the other way. Cutting it before seasoning too also means you have more surface area to get all the seasoning on as well. And it's okay if there's cilantro on there, it'll be fine. Dicing is also a good way to, not only does it help with everything cooking a little bit faster, but sometimes chicken breasts especially can be very thick. And maybe a recipe might call for like pounding it out or something first to help tenderize it and make it a little flatter. You can cut it in half, like lengthways if you feel safe doing that. And that can be an alternative if you don't have a good tool for pounding your chicken. These pieces are a little thick. I'm going to cut them again. So, as far as chicken, how do we feel about chicken as a protein? Is this a healthy protein, or could we do something better? Maybe not better, but different.
It's healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. So chicken is going to be a lower in fat option. You can trim off whatever excess fat you do see on it, of course, but especially if you get the skin off type of chicken, then that is going to be a great lean option. You can also do like shrimp with this recipe. You could do a fish of some sort if you would rather do like fish fajitas. Salmon and tuna steaks tend to stay together pretty well. For something like this, other fish might kind of like flake up and fall apart. But shrimp is a good one for sure for fajitas. If you do want to ever do this with red meat, a little fat escaped. If you do want to do this with red meat, we do want to be mindful of how often we're eating red meat because it is higher in that saturated fat. That's not as good for our heart health, which we are also paying attention to when we have diabetes. But if you do want to have it, we are going to look for the leaner options. So when you're buying like a whole steak or like a cut, you're going to look for the options that have less marbling to them, less of that whitishness, so it might appear redder. Someone brought up in the last meeting that they found a meat option that was dyed, so that's a little bit of trickery from the grocery store, I guess. But those leaner options are going to be what we want to gravitate towards. If you're ever not sure, the people behind the butcher counter or the deli counter, even at like a regular grocery store, they're usually pretty well versed on what they have available and what the leaner cuts are for the day. Ran out of space on my cutting board. All right. Well, we talked about sardines last time too. Those would also be good for this. They are. It's quiet. I try to encourage people to eat them more. They're so good for you, especially if you get the bone-in ones. You get like all the calcium and collagen from the bone. Yeah. The whole little fish. This one cut of chicken's a little fattier than the rest. Needs some trimming. All right, that is looking like it's hot enough. Almost done. Want only the good stuff for you guys. All right, there we go. Alrighty. Contamination. So, not that everyone has like gloves at home, but if you ever need to take off gloves, I pinch by the wrist and pull it inside out, and then you can go from the inside of the other glove, pull it inside out, and then that way you're only touching the inside. Still gonna use sanitizer though, in between. My sanitizer looks like shaving cream. All right, so next we will do our seasonings on the chicken. So what do most people use for seasonings? Like if you're making tacos or something, do we use like a packet or does anyone season from scratch at home?
From scratch.
From scratch? Awesome. What spices do you usually use?
Onion powder, garlic, pepper. That's about it.
All right, so onion, garlic, pepper.
Yeah, sometimes paprika, depending on what I'm cooking.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got pretty much the same things. I always like to see what other people use. I have garlic, pepper, like a chili, but it's mild. It's not super spicy. I have cumin and oregano. So those are the spices I'm going to be using. Let me double check the recipe as well. Alrighty, so I took my gloves off too soon. Have to re-glove up. Yeah, so I can put all the chicken in the bowl. You can be as messy as you want at home. I have to do certain things for this. Yeah. It says tapioca. It's really like any starch. It doesn't have to be tapioca starch. I have cornstarch today because sometimes that's a harder item to find, but cornstarch, rice starch, whatever starch you have. All right. So I'm going to leave that there.
And then if anybody is food insecure or wants to take the diabetes education class and sign up for the free food, I would need your name, address, phone number, date of birth, and what kind of insurance you have on the back of this, and you can turn it back into me. And the questions on the front, you can just answer them.
Alrighty. So for this, we have to remember to double everything. So 1¼ teaspoon of cumin. So that will be 2½ teaspoons of cumin. So this is cumin. So get that in there. 1, 2, and ½ It smells so good already. I love cumin. It's such a good spice. Then we have our garlic powder, and that is also going to be the same amount. So we have 1¼ for one recipe, doubled it to 2½. So there's our garlic. 1, 2, and ½ And then we have oregano, 1 teaspoon, so we will make that 2 teaspoons. Sorry. I made a joke to myself when I labeled this. If you're curious, you can come up and look at it. It's not that funny. I was like, okay. So we got 2 teaspoons of that. And then we have our chili powder. I do believe this is a new one, and I need to take the paper off. Indeed. Wish me luck. Oh, yeah, it was easy. Yes. Usually it's the opposite. Usually it doesn't act right if there's an audience. All right, so 1½. So that will be 3 teaspoons. There we go, of chili. So 1, 2, 3. Then 3 teaspoons of paprika, which I forgot to get out. It is in my box. My box of spices. So 3 teaspoons of that doubled into 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so that's it for the spices. You can do no salt if you want. I have a little salt. If anyone wants to salt it at the end, but I like to cook things like no added salt just to see how flavorful it is on its own first. If you need to add salt, that's okay. But it is good to always just like taste test things first, then add salt as needed versus maybe following exactly what the recipe says. Sometimes you can cut the amount of salt in half, or making sure that you at least taste things before you salt things, which is something my dad does not do. I'll call him out. He just adds salt on stuff without looking. Anyways, so to mix this, you can, of course, use a spoon. I will be using another glove because when you use your hands, you can get into all those little cracks and get everything nice and coated. So it is kind of nice to have some gloves at home in your kitchen. So everything's going to get coated. Want it to be even. Yeah. Yeah, so it's going to be different. Something like ketchup and barbecue sauce, those tend to be higher sugar items. So that's something to keep in mind. Ketchup does not count as a fruit, serving. I've had people try to tell me that before. I'm like, I have so much ketchup, it's like a whole tomato. So we want to be mindful of our sauces, dressings, condiments, spice blends, all of those things. They can have excess of sugar, salt, or fat, any of those three. A lot of our sauces, they tend to be big flavor items, right? So sugar, salt, fat are what gives things flavor. So we want to just be mindful of how much we're using for those. And then of course what your health concerns are might dictate which kind of things you're watching more than others. So some people might be looking out more for sodium, some might be looking for sugar, some people might be looking for fat, or a combination of all three. All right, so these look well coated. I'm going to... Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have done homemade barbecue sauce before, and I used dates. I soaked dates in water first and put them in the blender, and it makes just a sweet puree, basically. So it's still a ton of sugar. Dates are very, very sweet, but at least it's a natural sugar. It's from a fruit. You get some fiber, you get some vitamins and minerals from it. Still sweet though. All right, so we're gonna add these little guys in. I was gonna do one first to see how hot we have it. Okay, we're good. I think everyone will fit. It's getting pretty full. All right. Shaving cream. All right, so we're just going to cook these first. Again, they'll cook a little bit faster because we cut them down. However, the volume is large. But chicken, especially once it's diced up, shouldn't take all that long. It's already turning colors. All right, so this is our first step. Okay. In the meantime, I am going to do the rice. So I want to find the cleanest spot to do the rice. I guess I'll go on the other side. Ooh, she's hot. Thank you. All right. So for the rice, I have that cilantro and I have the limes. This is a juicer. These are great if you don't have one and you like adding lemon and lime juice to things. They are a game changer. It's a hot debate though, if the lime goes in this way or this way. I I usually will put it in one way and flip it over and do it again. So I'm going to start with just like, actually this is a lot of rice. I'm going to do both limes. So we'll do the lime juice. And flip it over, do it again. There's my trash bowl. Does anyone use fresh citrus at all in their cooking?
Yes.
Yes? Yeah. It adds a lot of flavor to things. So I really like using limes and lemon, even oranges sometimes. They just add so much like brightness and freshness to things, and it can make jarred sauce, like pasta sauce. If you add a little lemon to it, it's going to taste super fancy. So it's a good way to add flavor without adding more salt. Same with using fresh herbs, so something like cilantro, when it's fresh versus dried, it has a very different flavor. So having some fresh herbs into your food, that's also going to be something that adds a lot of flavor without adding more sodium. Especially if you add them to something when it's warm. Usually fresh herbs we're not like cooking with. We're gonna add them like at the end and like toss it once it's like still hot. And it's going to kind of pull out the essential oils and all the things that make it smell really good and have all the flavor. So like rosemary with potatoes, for example. Usually we're not going to put fresh rosemary in with the potatoes when we bake them, but once we take the little like diced potatoes out of the oven, we'll toss them with fresh rosemary, and that'll give it a really bright, nice flavor. Yeah. I do have a handout too I'll put out that has a lot of different spice combinations. So none of them have salt in them. They're all just herbs and spices. But it's a good guide just to get you started as far as learning how to cook and what kind of flavors go together. I'm just going to put them there for now. Alrighty. Do you want to give that a stir? Yeah. Absolutely. Be my assistant? Alrighty. And then we'll put in.
Smells really good.
Good, good, good. And we'll just dump that cilantro, just boop. And then I'll let you keep going until it looks nice. Thank you. So that's pretty much it for cilantro lime rice. We add cilantro and lime. If you have a low sodium adobo, that's a good extra to put in there. I couldn't find any at the store today, so I just went without it. Oh yeah, chicken. But otherwise, just the lime and the cilantro are a good combo. All right. I am going to boost this heat a little bit. How are we doing on time?
7 minutes. Domonic, what time is everything over?
Wrap it up. Faster, faster. I thought about bringing 2 burners. Maybe I should have. All right. Yeah. Oh, you washed my knife for me. Thank you. Excellent. Come home with me. All right. Well, I will prep the avocado then. On the side here, I have a clean cutting board, so I'm just going to use a different cutting board. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Alrighty. So, has anyone cut avocados before? Yeah. All right. So avocados have a big pit in the middle. And actually, now that this knife is clean, I was going to try out the small knife, but this one's clean now. So we are going to cut the avocado first by just going straight down the middle, even though there's a big seed in it. And once you hit the seed, you can just turn the avocado around the seed. And then when you get to the end, you give it a little twist like an Oreo, pull it out, and then you have that seed in there, and generally you can just scoop, pop it out from the back. Some people will take a knife and like, ha-cha, but that's a little scary, so you can just push it with your thumbs.
While Dana is doing that, I'm distributing some party gifts for you. As I will just say about the gift card house.
Look at all the different seed size we have. All right, and then I'm gonna cut it into slices. They're gonna be a little sloppy, but I just cut it inside the, what's this, the skin? It's getting late. And then I will just squeeze it out. Oh wait, is this the chicken plate? I just like brain farted. Here, don't eat those ones. Those ones are contaminated. Thank you. Clean plate. We like that. All right, so everyone can get some avocado. All right. All right, sorry we're running over. No, that's actually for a different recipe, and I didn't mean to take it out. The veggies are just going to use the seasoning in there. Yep. Yep, so once the chicken is done, usually there's going to be some seasoning left over in there that we can use. And we're just going to use that seasoning for the peppers and onions. And hopefully those guys will crisp right up and cook pretty quickly. Yeah. The skin broke. Does look good. All right, are there any questions anyone has about nutrition or diabetes, pre-diabetes, the program? Yeah.
One second, could you ask your question again?
It's a great question. Everyone should hear it.
There used to be a slogan, pork is the other white meat. Is that really considered a leaner meat, a less fatty or a healthier meat as opposed to beef?
Yeah. So pork, it depends on the cut, just like beef. Like a loin's going to be leaner than like a shoulder or something. Or bacon. So we do want to be mindful of that. Pork is technically a red meat still, so it's going to be higher in saturated fat than like chicken would be or seafood. So we do want to kind of treat it more like it is beef versus like chicken. The other white meat thing was more of like a marketing thing that they did to make it seem healthier.
Thank you.
Alrighty. doesn't get hotter. Are there other questions? No?
Can you do a quick recap for the individuals that just came in? They're not
On the everything? So my name's Dana, hi. So we are here from Lifebridge Health, and we're doing a cooking demonstration as part of the diabetes program here. We have chicken fajitas tonight, but we're doing like fajita bowls. So you then have the option, instead of doing a tortilla, you have a bowl as your base. So it could be extra vegetables, it could be lettuce, it could be rice if you want to do a carb, it could be cauliflower rice, whatever you want to do. I do have rice here today. And basically, we have been just talking about how this meal contributes to a healthy diet, especially in relation to diabetes. So we talked about how fiber can help manage your blood sugar and how quickly it absorbs into your bloodstream from your stomach when you eat. So fiber helps slow that down, preventing spikes. Protein also does the same thing. So having a good protein source in your meal and in your snacks will help with that. Having a healthy fat like avocado will also do that. Avocado is also really high in fiber. So we have several components here that are going to help manage that blood sugar when we eat our rice and our beans. And then we talked a bit about sodium as well, and heart health. Heart health is really important for people who have prediabetes and diabetes. Usually if you have one, eventually you will develop the other. So if you have any sort of heart disease, you do want to be mindful of your risk of diabetes is increased, and then vice versa, if you have diabetes, your risk of heart disease has increased. So we just want to be mindful of all of that and kind of combine both the diets together. So we're watching saturated fat, we're watching sodium, and then we're also watching our carbohydrate intake. So all three of those things together will be our healthy diet. We talked about using the plate method too to kind of guide our choices, and discussing how for our non-starchy vegetables like these peppers and onions here, those are going to take up about half of your dish, half of your plate. And that's what we're aiming for whenever we have a meal or a snack. We're just kind of scaling that plate down for snack size. We still want a lot of veggies, a lot of good fiber. It helps you feel full, more satisfied, as well as balancing out that blood sugar. Did I miss anything? If only the food cooked that fast. But feel free to ask questions or, share hot tips if you have any.
I do have another question.
Yeah.
So there's white sugar, and then there's raw sugar.
Yep.
And then you always hear about high fructose sugar. And no high fructose. So I guess kind of talk about kind of what's better for you, how your body treats some of those things, simple sugars versus whatever the other is.
Yeah.
Refined sugars.
Simple sugar and refined sugars, those are kind of like interchangeable in a sense. When we have like a simple sugar, we'll start with that one. It is a sugar, the structure of it, like chemically wise, like the molecule itself is very simple, and it absorbs very quickly into your bloodstream, versus when we have carbohydrates that are starches like our brown rice here. Those are very big, complex structures, and they take a lot more work for your body to break down and access that starch and then convert it into sugar. So that's why we're always recommending like have brown rice, have whole grains, have those like complex carbohydrates, because they slow down that absorption. Part of that starch and that structure is also fiber. Fiber is technically a carbohydrate as well. Fiber is so complex of a structure though, we can't even break it down. It still has a nutritive value to us, but it doesn't have calories. So those are the simple sugars, the ones that just absorb easily because their structure is so simple. So then we have like refined sugars. So if we have like cane sugar, for example, you have that sugar in the raw, which would be unrefined cane sugar, and then you have like white domino sugar, which is refined sugar. So it's gone through some extra processing to kind of refine it. I don't like using the same word in the definition, but like it is what makes it white, and that is also something in that process. Generally, we're losing some of the vitamins and minerals with that.
So a raw sugar would be better for you than?
Slightly. Typically, I'll say like the difference is so nominal that like, is that the right word? Minimal? The difference is so small that like you're not really having that big of a difference. If we're looking for more vitamins and minerals in our diet, you're gonna have better impact introducing more vegetables, more fruits, more complex carbs versus switching from white sugar to like a turbinado sugar. Same with like honey, maple syrup, agave nectar. Those are all simple sugars. They're slightly different nutrition-wise because of their like source and their composition and stuff. They have some minerals in them, but it's so small, the difference isn't that big. All right. Second opinion, what do you think of these little chickens? Should we cut one open? You think they're good? I'm trusting you.
Yeah, because chicken breast, well, all right, I'll cut one.
Okay.
Because I definitely don't want to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they just broke open. I think they're good. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna put the chicken. They are good. The chicken's good. Whew, I spilled one. Poor little guy. Never fulfilled his duty. All right, so now we just have the peppers. And actually, I'm just gonna dump all the juice in there. So we still have some of the spices left on here. I'm gonna add like a smidge more oil just to coat all the veggies. I might. Alrighty, here we go. I don't know if they all fit. I don't know about that. This isn't spinach. All right.
Oh, so we had another question?
Yes.
Or,
So the question I was asking, or wanted to ask, when you say using the brown rice, because I guess it all digests and turn into sugar, but why with the brown rice, is it because it takes longer to digest in your body that you may be able to burn faster? What's the chemical, or not chemical, but the science behind that?
So it is a more complex structure. It will break down slower, so that blood sugar is going to absorb a little bit slower. You're not going to get as much of a spike. I think I missed part of your question. Did you say like something about it burning? Or?
No, I'm asking, are you burning because it takes it longer to digest in your body? Are you able to burn it in the body itself when exercising, walking?
Oh.
Is that the reason you want those types to burn in your body? Or you burn
Like,
quicker?
yeah, like well, you won't necessarily, it depends. So like it's still, like calorically, they're gonna be pretty similar. So as far as like the energy that you're getting and what you would have to burn, it would be pretty similar. But because of that fiber and like how slow it takes to break it down and everything, it sits in your stomach a little bit longer, helps you feel fuller for longer too, so you're just like not eating as much, so it helps like manage intake as well. So you're not necessarily like burning more calories by switching over, but you generally get fuller sooner, so you're not eating as much and kind of like, I don't want to call it like restriction, but it's like a natural way of kind of moderating your caloric intake, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
What's your suggestion for incorporating this type of diet if you do intermittent fasting?
So you can do the same thing. The question was like incorporating this kind of diet with intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is just like the timing of things. So like when you're eating versus when you're not eating. So like when you're eating, you're going to be still eating the healthy whole foods, trying to focus on the same things, and really try to increase like that vegetable intake, moderate carb. During your eating window, you want to eat evenly throughout that whole period. I usually recommend, it kind of depends on like how advanced your diabetes might be. Intermittent fasting can be risky for some people just because you might be spending so much time not eating that you can get hypoglycemic, so watching out for that. But otherwise, like as far as the food choices themselves, they're not really going to change as far as the recommendations.
And the
Yeah.
portion sizes, same guidance?
Yeah, same guidance as far as the portions too. Yeah. Other questions? How's it going? I'm sorry. I feel bad. Oh.
Can you talk about
Yeah.
hidden sources of hidden salt and sugar?
Yeah. So sources of hidden salt and sugar. I don't think everyone was in here, but we did mention like some sauces, like the ketchup. So for salt and sugar, let's start with sugar. So sugar can be used in many different things. It can be hidden in even savory things. Often it's like tomato products because the sugar helps kind of flavor-wise balance out the acidity of tomatoes. So when you get like tomato soup or tomato sauce, those kind of things tend to have some extra sugar added into them. We have lots of sauces and condiments, dressings that have sugar added to them that we might not always be thinking of. So we did mention ketchup and barbecue sauce, but like even salad dressings, they might be on the sweeter side as well. So anytime you're getting like a fruity vinaigrette, there might be added sugar in there. A poppy seed dressing tends to be a little bit sweeter as well. There's sugar in like bread products. Usually it's not that much added sugar in breads, but yeast feeds off of sugar, so like it's just part of baking, unless you're getting a sourdough. And then you're using like the natural fermentation process to get those bubbles in. But checking your food labels will be something that is helpful on anything that's like meant to add more flavor. So same goes with sodium. A lot of the sauces, condiments, dressings, I'll add onto that seasoning packets as well. So if you just like buy the taco mix or buy the ranch mix in like the little packets, those tend to be higher in salt. Any sort of like food kit, like if you get the rice-a-ronis or something like that, and they come with that seasoning packet, those tend to be very high in salt. Soups tend to be high in salt. Any kind of like stock broth, whole canned soup, ramen, all of those are very salty. If it's something where you can like add half the packet, you can always do that. And then two, canned goods tend to be salty. So for like the beans that I bought, for example, you can always rinse your beans, but I did find canned, no salt added beans. So any sort of vegetable, you want to be mindful of that. Added sodium, look for the low sodium option or buy no salt added. Otherwise, rinsing off the sodium will be the best bet for those. Trying to think, any other, like frozen meals and stuff tend to be high in salt too, if you rely on frozen meal kits. Yeah.
I have two questions. The first one, so how do you calculate what is a healthy, safe, like, I guess amount of sugar you should have per day? Like based on body weight and age or combination of both?
So the recommendation for women, adult women, is 6 teaspoons or about 24 grams of added sugar a day. So that's like your simple sugar that you would like maybe add to your coffee or something, or have as a sweet treat. And then for men, it is 9 teaspoons or math, 36 grams for men. So that's how the recommendation is divided as far as added sugar goes. You don't need to eat any sugar in general. Fruits are a great source of like a natural healthy sugar where you get the fiber and vitamins and minerals. And then otherwise you have your other complex carbs like sweet potatoes and winter squash and whole grains. Beans, lentils, legumes are great options. They're high in fiber and they're also a good source of protein. So those are a really great complex carb to add as well into your diet if you're not doing those already. But yeah, the 6 teaspoons is probably a good guideline then for just kind of keeping your max at. Yeah.
And then my next question was, so what are some healthy recommendations for desserts, like healthy treats that like besides fruit that
I was about to ask, besides fruit. I mean, dark chocolate, you can always do dark chocolate, like a 60% cocoa or higher. We did talk about like dates. Dates are naturally very sweet. They are technically fruit, but like a date and peanut butter. You can like even put like a chocolate chip or two on there if you want. That's a good option. Fruit is pretty tasty though. You can always like mix it with something, or if you have something that you really like if you really like ice cream, knowing that that's like a high carb item, maybe you're gonna like be more mindful, like I'm having ice cream tonight, I'm gonna scale back on my potatoes or whatever because I really want ice cream. And then when I have the ice cream too, maybe I'm going to like have some berries or like a high fiber, low carb fruit, like berries, on the side. So you can have your little bit of ice cream, you're watching the portion size, and then you're adding like a bunch of raspberries or something to it too to kind of help balance it out. You still have to enjoy life and have ice cream once in a while, so yeah.
Stevia.
Stevia, yeah.
Or other low, you know,
Yeah.
the sweeteners like stevia.
Yeah.
Are they like is it bad for you or worse than regular sugar?
I wouldn't say, I mean, it depends. I usually talk about non-caloric sweeteners as tools to help you change your diet and like wean off of high sugar tasting items. So stevia and monk fruit are natural sources of non-caloric sweeteners. So they both come from plants. And then you have anything that ends in an "-ol", like xylitol, erythritol, those types of things.
Yeah.
Those are sugar alcohols. They do have like very small amounts of carbohydrate to them. You'd have to eat a lot though. So generally they're just thrown in that same category as non-caloric sweeteners. So that's another category. And then you have like the artificial sweeteners like the saccharin, aspartame, and those types of things. They're all functionally like good tools. They're not going to cause your blood sugar to go up. So if that's like your immediate concern is like lowering your blood sugar, then swapping to sugar-free for now would be a good choice. But think about too, we want to kind of change our taste buds and readjust ourselves so that we're not craving sweets and sugars so much. And think about how we want to reduce the amounts of those things over time so that we're not constantly eating hyper-sweetened food. And then as our taste buds adjust, then things like fruit for dessert would feel more appealing and whatnot. You might find that you like more vegetables than you thought you did, or certain recipes might taste different. Your taste buds change over time. You have a whole new tongue every 7 years. So definitely thinking about like reducing the sodium and the sugar amounts to retrain your palate. But as far as like blood sugar and diabetes goes, they're a good tool to help manage that in the short term. Saccharin and sucralose are too long term. I wouldn't say to have like consistently if you have diabetes. There's some evidence to show that they actually increase risk of like, not dependency, but like cravings. They can increase like the amount of craving you have for sweet things, and usually people end up eating more of the artificial sweetener. But it can also be sweet things just across the board. So we do want to be mindful of those two. If you're like looking for something to add into your coffee every morning, maybe the stevia would be a better choice for that. Or even just like the whole sugar and just keeping in mind like how much sugar it is, how much carbohydrate it is, have a really high fiber, high protein breakfast to go with it. Like if you had like eggs with lots of veggies as like an omelet, that'd be great. Pairing with your coffee, and you can still have regular sugar in it. So. But keep in mind how much you're adding. So, yes. Other questions?
There is a question on Facebook.
Yes.
Is low-carb ice cream okay in moderation?
Yeah, it's the same as like the low or no-calorie sweeteners. So usually low-carb ice cream is made with some of those sweeteners that don't have any calories in them, so they're not going to increase your blood sugar quite as much. It depends which ice cream. Some of them have a combination of cane sugar and an artificial sweetener of some kind. But yeah, kind of thinking of that as like your tool for retraining your palate. Eventually you want to decrease how often you have it. But in the meantime, like while you're just making healthy changes and trying to manage your blood sugar, it's a good choice just to keep your blood sugar down. Yeah. And I would say too, just because some of those packagings say like, it's 300 calories for the whole container, it doesn't mean you have to eat the whole container. Because some people get excited about that, so still think about the portion sizes. Other questions? Are they cooked enough?
Probably a little bit more, but they're pretty good, translucent. You know, if you want
Okay.
them crunchy, do you guys like them crunchy or you want them to be soft?
We should have some.
Let's try something different, crunchy.
Yeah. Crunchy it is. I mean, thankfully, you could eat them raw if you wanted. I don't know about the onion, but. All right, so we were just going to do like an assembly line. So if you want to come up here, get your bowls. You have your rice as a base. I'll get some more utensils. Where are all my spoons? Oh. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, we'll just, yeah. So whoever wants to start, don't be shy. Have a little sanitizer as well. I could. Yeah. Okay. I'll get gloves on. Where did the gloves go? It is like Chipotle. Alrighty. Yeah, we'll do it Chipotle style. Changing it up. Well, he said that we should. So, all right. What would you like? Do you want rice as your base? Okay. So we have a bit of rice. All right. All right. More than that, or just one?
Love the fajita pepper. All right. Plenty of fajita peppers. Is that good?
All right.
Okay. There you go.
What? All right.
Any avocado?
Here, I'll just.
All right.
No, I can, I'm
We have a little
just waiting now.
sanitizer there too. Hello.
I actually ate
Rice,
before I
I'm
came, so
assuming.
I'm hungry, so.
All right. Chicken. I'm assuming everyone wants a little rice and chicken. All right.
Don't forget your salad and your
No beans?
over there.
No beans.
Over there.
You want some
Any
fajitas?
fajitas? All right.
There you
That's good?
go. All right.
Okay.
Avocado. All right. There you are.
Probably will, but I really would.
Rice and chicken.
I was thinking about taking the
Beans. Ah, that one is a little more efficient. All right. Beans.
Any fajitas? All right. Get you some onions. Is that good or you want a little more? That's good.
You want avocado? Yes. All right. And maybe I'll pass them off to you.
Okay.
So I'll do like this chunk and you do that chunk. Hi. Rice and chicken?
Yeah. You're welcome. And don't forget your spoon, my dear.
Alrighty. And then, do you want beans?
Yeah.
They are black beans. Yes. And then she'll take care of you for the veggies.
Unless your doctor says
Alright.
you're not supposed to eat like that first, you just have your medicine you're on. But
Would you like rice?
unless they say otherwise,
And chicken.
contact your provider. You're welcome.
And then hers is right there.
You want fajitas?
Beans?
Yeah. A little bit. Just a little bit. That's good. Or a little bit more. Right. You gotta get the flavors up in there. That's good. You want avocado?
Oh, no.
Okay. You want a lot of it? I like a lot of onions, but. Okay, so we want onions then. I don't think that. You want avocado? Right. Don't forget your salad. You're welcome.
Oh, they're all spoons, yeah.
I try to make it with every
Hi. Who wants some beans on theirs? No beans?
No beans. Do you need pepper?
Telling her as a lady.
No pepper. You want avocado? There you go. And get your spoon, precious. All right.
Alrighty. Does anyone else want beans?
I just want rice,
Okay.
beans, and a lot of peppers, and avocado.
Alright. Rice. You're only doing beans.
Peppers and avocado.
You want any chicken?
No, ma'am.
All right. Perfect.
Alright, who does want chicken?
You want avocado too?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Oh, hi, nice to meet you.
There you go.
Do you want beans?
And everything. You're welcome.
Alright.
You want peppers? All righty.
Oh, you got one already. Very good.
Put the spoon here.
No meat.
All right. That good?
A little bit of rice.
All right.
Enough rice? More rice?
You want avocado?
Alright.
Oh, today was, I thought you guys.
You're welcome.
Alright.
Cooking it up here, huh?
Yeah, what would you like?
Just chicken, rice, and some veggies.
No beans. Chicken.
And did you want avocado? All right.
Recipe.
Yeah, I'll find like baked recipes online. A limit? I mean, I think once everyone gets their serving, they can come up and get more.
Okay. Did you want avocado? All right. And don't forget your salad and your There you go.
Yeah. Hello. Good, how are you? Sure, with everything? Okay. Just rice and meat for kids? No beans, no veggies?
No, you can do it. That one all the way is for me. It's fine.
Okay.
So that was for you.
Yes, that's
All right. So we'll put you.
And then just,
And then the babies don't want no veggies.
we'll see what they do.
Avocado first. All right. And then you have a spoon there.
You know, my biggest problem is
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
And these are for the kids, right? So they don't want any.
you can put some
I guess you can put some more rice on there for the kids.
More rice?
So much rice.
I don't know how big these kids are.
I can
Woo.
prepare like do this on Sunday nights and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. I think finding things that are like quick, like if you had this chicken, instead of doing raw, like you can just get a rotisserie chicken or like canned pre-cooked chicken, like, and just heat it up with the veggies and the seasonings. So then you're not like cooking. It's already basically like easy to pull apart and shred. And sometimes it's worth spending the extra money on like getting pre-cut vegetables too. Like they sell them already cut like that. 'Cause that took up half the class.
Let them know that they have whole fruits and cut fruits and pretty good. Oh.
Oh, there's also hot sauce if people wanted hot sauce. Yes. That is it for me, so.
You said you had something with combination of spices?
What's that?
Did you say you had a sheet that had, that showed a combination of
Yeah.
spices?
Let me get out all my handouts so everyone can kind of see what we have.
So how does the meal taste? Is it flavorful? Very good, very good. Very good. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you hanging in there a little longer on tonight as we had the presentation. Why don't we give Dana and Nicole a round of applause?
Thank you.
For their nutritional information and for the healthy cooking demonstration. Also on tonight, I had an opportunity to share Thank you. Some things with you, everyone should have a Lifebridge Health insulated bag, right? And we wanted to give you some information, and we also wanted to give everyone a copy or sample of the My Plate as a placemat. And also some of our viewers online have indicated they wanted it, and we have left those as well. I want to take a moment again to thank everyone for being a part of this pilot program, which is called the Connection Program. I certainly wish to thank, in his absence, but also, in his absence, Pastor Barney, for accepting the call and sending his representative, Deacon Davis, to come and to meet with me and Bishop Tony Terrain, who opened his doors so we could meet to pull this connection or this pilot program together. And so let's give the pastors in the both ministries, churches, a round of applause. So I'm grateful for that. Please review the information that you have, the information, and also information about hypertension as well. I also want to take a moment to celebrate everyone who has come, but there have been or are 3 ladies who came all the time. In the rain, the fake out snow, they showed up. And I wish to celebrate the 3 of them, and they are in this order, because this is how they come in. It's amazing. Miss Lily Hawkins, Miss Joni Elam Williams, Johnny, yes, Johnny, sorry, and Miss Genevieve Good, right? Very good. And because you have been persistent and made sure to come, we present to you a $50 gift card to Aldi's. Now, of course, you gotta fill out this paperwork so everything can be in order. No, ma'am. Not on your taxes. I just gotta give an accounting.
Thank you so much. Wow.
And so let's give them a round of applause. We thank them for coming and for being a part. Now, let me ask some questions, just loose questions that I would like to get from you. Would you recommend this program to others?
Yes. Yes.
Is that general consensus?
Yes.
Okay.
1 to 10, yes, 10.
Yes, ma'am. Do you think you would make any lifestyle changes?
Yes. Yes.
Is that general consensus? Okay. And of course, this is a redundant question, but let me ask it. Do you think we should offer this exact program again?
Yes.
Does anyone need help with accessing health care? Oh, that's good. Do we need to seek medical attention? Does anyone need to seek medical attention? And I don't mean like just emergency medical attention in the sense of that you want to make some drastic changes for better health. And so let me ask the representatives from the congregation, from the various churches, do you think, are there any new plans or continuing plans for health for either congregation?
I would say absolutely.
Yes?
Absolutely. I would just say more.
More? Mm-hmm.
And information that's going to be beneficial across the generation. So
Generational, good.
a wide span of folks here.
What's the date of 16?
Younger generations.
Yes.
Right? We teach them about portion controls, teach the parents.
Mm-hmm.
Give them the advice they need to help their children. Because I can't remember, I think I read an article some time ago that there are a lot of people entering into college and they have high cholesterol.
Yep.
Because they have been diagnosed with obesity earlier, or just their diet alone is so concentrated with that. So,
Right.
more education.
More education. Generational. Generational. I tapped Deacon Davis because we talked about that early on. And before I even got the program off the ground, I went back to leadership, went to bat. And I think we have a way that we can do it. I think we have a way that we can do it. With our young people, we certainly will need to involve the parents and or guardians. And we just need to brainstorm on the best time to do that training. Now, how was the presentations that we had, starting with the introduction and health testing? How did that go? Good. Thank you. What about the presentation on what is diabetes? The exercise presentation? I was going to ask, are we doing it? But she did it. All right, excellent. Communicating well with doctors. What were your thoughts about the devotional guide that you received? Is that helpful? Devotions. So devotional guide, how to communicate with your doctor. That was a guide. So you say that's helpful? There you are, Deacon. Okay. And of course, last week we talked about nutrition. Oh. And then again today, the healthy food cooking demonstration. Excellent. All right. Thank you. Again, that's all I have. Information has been placed out virtually for those who are interested, for those who are listening, who wish to be a part of this program or see the continuation of it. Please contact me, Reverend Domonic Smith, at DOMSMITH at lifebridgehealth.org. DOMSMITH at lifebridgehealth.org, or you may call 443-613-8321. 443-613-8321. Again, I thank you all for coming and for being a part of this pilot. And so I'm going to sound cliche-ish. Onward and forward. Again, thank you so much. Miss Tiffany, anything else? Okay, that's it. Oh, yes, please help yourself to our demonstration of fajitas on tonight, and also to the salads and fruit and waters that are to my left, right? Again, thank you so much. I feel like I need to give a benediction. The Lord our God is righteous. The Lord our God is our healer. The Lord our God is our waymaker. Now unto him who is able to present us faultless before the throne of grace, to the only wise God be dominion, majesty, and power, now and forevermore. And God's people say amen. Amen. And thank you to the tech people who kept us online and kept us going well streaming. I appreciate it.